Jonah Gould's attention wanders frequently these days. He's knee-deep in his favorite Berkshire stream on the first night of Passover, the zen of fly fishing having lured him there while rummaging for a Haggadah in a bookcase in his Manhattan apartment. A speckled trout eyeing a fly dancing on the surface vanishes at the sound of Rachel's dulcet voice popping from a bubble. Sundown, love. Time to start the Seder. Jonah's greeted at the dining room table by Rachel's kiss, wet and sweet. Their son Ben and 8-year-old grandson Joshua are already seated. Rachel describes Jonah as ageless. Friends agree his appearance hasn't changed in years, at least not since retiring from Lehman Brothers before the 2008 collapse. Wrinkle-free and lean, defying his mid-60s with hot yoga and runs through Central Park, a guy whose only gripe is a dependence on reading glasses. He emphasized his physical wellness during an examination at Columbia Presbyterian last week, downplaying recent difficulty remembering names and finding the right words to complete sentences. He even used senior moment, his most disliked cliche of all, to describe what happened in the Barnes & Noble on 8th Street a few days earlier when he meandered the aisles after closing time until an understanding janitor helped him call home. Found him in religion and inspiration, the janitor said to Rachel. Most of them end up there, you know. He was examined by Stephen Block, a neurologist who treated Jonah's mother several years ago. After the exam, the doctor slid Jonah's PET brain scan into a slot on a backlit wall, next to a scan he described as normal. The bright colors and three-dimensional view help us see abnormalities, said Dr. Block. Electric Rorschach? Asked Jonah. A laser pointer fluttered to the normal scan and hovered over an orange silhouette against a violet background. Looks like a butterfly, right? Said Dr. Block, referring to the silhouette. Note the unbroken symmetry of each wing. Jonah forced a smile. Butterfly? Nah, maybe a bat. The pointer zigzagged from the normal scan to Jonah's. This view is typical of early to mid-stage dementia patients. When amyloid plaques form, they attach to the wings and degrade the symmetry, and for reasons we don't fully understand, cognitive impairment becomes noticeable. The intensely red laser circled Jonah's blighted wings, a vulture marking prey. Rachel rubbed her hands as if they needed warming. Jonah breathed deep, slowing his heartbeat until he appeared calm. After all, he'd heard Dr. Block deliver similar news once before. No real breakthroughs since your mother's illness, Dr. Block said. Though physical appearance can remain unaffected for some time, ability to reason steadily declines. The young nurse turned to Rachel. One day your husband may see a normal-looking guy in the mirror without recognizing who he is. Crazy, huh? Dr. Block stepped between the nurse and Rachel. For now, you'll have days with clear moments and not so clear moments, he said. Eventually, though, well, you know. Yes, Jonah knew. Jonah opens the Haggadah, the Passover prayer book, for a quick review before starting the Seder. He silently reads the first of the 4 questions. Why is this night different from all other nights? He remembers the question quite well. Yes, even the original Hebrew. Symmetry returning to his wings? Then his eyes freeze on engravings of 4 sons. One wise, one wicked, one simple, one unable to ask. Though their story's been told at every Seder for most of Jonah's life, their facial expressions mesmerize him tonight, haunting him, as if the simple son's clueless look and the blank stare of the son unable to ask are tarot cards divining his future. Static electricity crackles when Rachel taps his hip to break the spell. Jonah flinches and reaches for a bug bite on his elbow. He understands Rachel's instinct, but doesn't like her babysitting him. He's not simple. He still has a voice. A pin spot flickers above the Seder table, the filament sizzling as it disintegrates. Jonah scans the table for the afikomen. Special matzah he'll hide for Joshua to find and trade for a reward at the end of the Seder, a sign of good luck for the year ahead. But he sees 2 plates of matzah, one white and one turquoise, and he becomes confused. His mouth is dry and he'd like to disappear. He bows his head and pleads with roasted shank bones, chopped apples, and bitter herbs. The pin spot flickers again, and a scene appears behind Jonah's eyes. His grandfather taking a piece of matzah from a brightly colored plate, then winking at Jonah before leaving the room to hide it. Jonah hands the turquoise plate to Rachel. She wraps a piece of matzah in a cloth napkin, fastens it with a turquoise bow, and passes it to Jonah. Ben tugs Jonah's sleeve. "You're holding yourself," he says. "Are you okay?" Joshua overhears and falls into a fit of giggles. Not even Ben's cupped hand can stop. Jonah's cheeks turn red as Rachel's borscht. He releases his crotch and flexes his PC muscle, what Rachel calls a kegel, and grits his teeth for added leverage. He raises the afikomen for Joshua to see and heads for the bathroom. "Gonna hide this now, make sure no one follows me." He winks and Joshua beams. In the adjacent hall, an aroma of chicken soup simmering in the nearby kitchen hijacks Jonah's attention. He licks his lips. He folds the lower lip under the upper, holds it in place with his teeth, and suckles. There's an emptiness present, dread that began showing up recently, a disquieting sense of missing something without knowing what it is or why he doesn't have it. He releases his lip and slowly tilts his head right and left. He's not thinking about pissing anymore. He isn't even sure where he is or where he's going. He looks down the hall and sees 3 doors. He associates them with the bedroom, bathroom, and den. He steps forward on the oak floor and is soothed by a familiar creaking. He attaches Rachel's face to a voice floating in the air and knows he's home, the apartment in which they've lived for 20 years. He unties the bow and opens the napkin. He sees the afikomen and laughs. Did I really forget it was here? Despite the diagnosis, despite bouts of terror when disoriented, or picturing Rachel spooning baby food into his mouth, wiping his ass, and changing his diapers, Jonah maintains a sense of humor. During moments of clarity, he views dementia's manifestations as roles cast upon him. In this moment, he sees himself as the simple son. If not for neurofibrillary tangles choking Jonah's memory, the pressure threatening to burst his bladder might have called to mind an event 4 years ago when he and Rachel were threatened by bursting of a different sort. Torrential thunderstorms that turned the stream he fly fished in the Berkshires to raging rapids endangering their beloved summer home. Ordered to high ground by the Pittsfield police, Rachel and Jonah watched from the hilltop as the torrent chased through the normally sedate streambed, breaching its peaceful earthen walls and sending water rampaging through their cottage near Tanglewood, destroying the sacred nest where kettle drums, cymbals, and timpani rhapsodized in the dishwasher, and sweet melodies of French horn, cello, and bells sang in their bed. In the aftermath, Jonah wondered if the loss exemplified nature's randomness, or was karmic payback for sheltering himself from his fear of inheriting the dementia, laying waste to his mother by hiring aides to comfort and care for her, instead of visiting more often and comforting her himself. Jonah rewraps the afikomen and makes a mess of the bow. The urge to piss is back again. He pinches his penis to squelch the tingling. Like a divining rod sensing nearby water, the afikomen guides him to the den. A needlepoint of a Shogun-era tea house hangs near the entrance. It's seen alive with flutes and samisen, bonsai and gilded satsuma, kimonoed geishas serving robed samurai, and courtesans peeking from behind floral screens. His mother designed and stitched the canvas as a gift for Jonah and Rachel's 35th anniversary. The last needlepoint rose gold completed. Before dementia made the simplest tasks impossible. She survived until the day before their 40th anniversary. 5 years of dementia stealing humanity from her soul and the stuff of life from her body, leaving her bedridden and speechless, a helpless baby locked in a sack of scaling, shriveling skin, unable to clean itself or even crawl.